Ding.
Sexy Geeky interview with KCJ, creator of the Buying Time webcomic. Hello.
Hello.
Let's talk about your awesome comic, Buying Time, which is really just so gorgeous and unusual. I mean, what made you want to make a fully animated comic for starters? Because that is, well, not fully animated, I suppose, just panel by panel animated. Because that is definitely uncommon. I imagine it's
Right.
quite work intensive.
It is, yeah. Um, I guess the format ultimately came about because I wanted to, or the idea originally was to do Blind Time as an animated short, um, just something that would be, I don't know, a couple minutes long, that would explore the idea like really briefly, and just, I ultimately thought I liked the idea too much to um, think that an animated short wouldn't be enough to explore it fully. So I started to play around with the idea of possibly doing it as a web comic, but I guess I felt kind of intimidated by the commitment that doing a comic would take. And I wanted to include a bunch of stuff that you can't really do with the standard format, like a bunch of I wanted like all the neon signs to flicker and glow, and I wanted all the sound effects and the onomatopoeia to be animated, and um, I kind of wanted best of both worlds, so
Oh,
that's
and
ultimately how the format came about.
it comes through, definitely. I mean, your format allows for so many things which still image comics definitely can't do. Like, surprises, for one, I found is something that if you have a surprise at the end of a page in a normal comic, you're probably going to see it when you turn the page anyway before you've quite got there, so it's slightly ruined.
Right,
Whereas with adding panel by panel, it's like, it just literally, you cannot see something coming. It is genuinely impossible.
right.
So it's a lot of new and interesting innovations that the format definitely has provided you. Is it difficult to make things in this way?
Um, I guess it depends what the page needs. Um, I've been working in animation and in Flash for over a decade now, so some things come easier than others. Um, the benefits of working with Flash and in vector art is you get to reuse a lot. So I find that constantly I'm grabbing stuff from old animated shorts I've done. I can just because it's in vector, you can just grab it and scale it up, um, and use it however you need, tweak it however you need. So that helps a lot being able to do that. But as far as the difficulty of the animations go, it sometimes it's tough, sometimes it's easy. I guess it depends.
Mm-hmm. Vectors and Flash are definitely far more malleable formats to work in than others.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
very good at them. KCJ, freelancer for hire. Do check him out. You had the initial idea as a short. Did the characters exist as an idea back then, or was it just the setting and the DLC system? What did the initial idea have?
The characters did exist, maybe not as Vinny and Galvin as they are now, but the original idea was just um, the idea of DLC was in there too, but it basically started as a boyfriend who was going over to his boyfriend's house just for a visit, and he gets to the door and finds out he doesn't have enough credit to go inside and stay for a visit, and the short was basically just going to be more of kind of like a, for lack of better term, a city porn kind of thing, like really nice city shots, um, just um, just really to just kind of show off like a cool city and a cool kind of looking future. That the original short didn't really have that much as far as story goes. It was just the basic concept that was an excuse for me to make some pretty looking shots.
But you still definitely get that chance, especially in the early chapters. There's so many lovely, like some of them actually animated shots as well of Hyperion. Just fantastic shots of the area that Vinny lives in. And I guess the format allows you to have some very different environments with the different level system and the different levels of wealth going on.
Hmm.
Have you got some plans already for the higher levels and how pretty they're going to look?
Um, Not specifically the higher levels. I think we're getting into areas with with Big Gold in his studio. He's pretty much at the top there. I know the page that we're introduced to that is still kind of nighttime, so you don't really get a good look at the city. But I think more so, I'm planning to eventually take us out of the crater and into the wastelands. Not for anything extremely in depth, but maybe for like a day trip that the characters go on or something like that, just to give us a look at the outside.
Ooh, that would be interesting. So Minecraft's has it been going about a year now, I think?
Yeah, it's been live since last April.
Ah, so yeah, hey, happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you.
And but yeah, I suppose how's the comic changed or grown since its beginnings? I know there's been a few notes in early pages that you've added on saying this feature was added, this feature was added. Although we don't
Right.
get to see how long it was before those things happened. Like how has it changed and developed?
Yeah, those little technical features were added pretty early on when I started to get feedback from the readers. Like originally, you couldn't click anywhere on the page to advance the frames. You had to scroll down and click on an arrow, and I got a couple comments on that and kind of fixed that up pretty quickly. But as far as like I mean, aside from those little technical things, it's changed quite a bit visually, I think. The characters, I find the more I draw them, which is pretty much every day, it's practically a full-time job, um, they're changing as time goes by visually. I guess that's just a consequence of drawing them so often, and I guess improving, I hope.
Oh, definitely. I think it shows that they've come more into their own as they look more like them. That's a sentence that makes any sense.
Right.
Do you have a set idea for how? Is there like a set story you have in mind, or do you just want to keep on exploring the world with different scenarios and ideas? And are we in a certain percentage of the way into the project?
There is a set story in mind, yes, and there is a set ending in mind. So the story will come to a close. Um, I don't have the details 100% ironed out at this point, but I've got a general layout, and I've got the next two chapters scripted out roughly. So, um, and I would say at this point we're probably just over halfway.
Oh man.
Um, I can see the story going 8 or 9 chapters, and we're just coming up on the end of chapter 4. So
Is that a good point right now? Because there's so many things that could still definitely happen. What we've been having until with Big Gold as well, who's just been introduced.
right.
Who's such a hilarious character, by the way. That's fantastic work. It
Yeah,
was simple.
I've been waiting for a while to introduce those guys. It was fun to write them.
It shows, seeing as he immediately got onto the cast page the same day he went up.
Yeah, yeah, I've been waiting to show them off for a while.
So, with the would you consider the DLC system and the setting and the creator dystopian? Because I kind of feel like it's more of a morally grey kind of future. It's not totally corporate control, but it's pretty corporate control.
Yeah, I think I'm more on the side. I'm more on your side with that. It's kind of tough to say that it's 100% dystopian because it is like the system. It's not uh, oppressive in such a way that like your life will be ruined, kind of thing. It's ultimately a way for a corporation to make money um, out of exploiting social interaction and entertainment. So it's not like, your life is absolutely miserable living in this city. It just sort of sucks. So it's tough to say that it's like completely a dystopian setting, but I think it's getting into there. It's a gray area, like you said.
Yeah, I think it's got a nice parallel with modern post-recession culture. I don't know quite how it affected Canada, but I know that over here it seems that there's a lot of people in a similar situation to Vinny, at least where not having enough money to go out and see people. But if you do some extra work, then you can, so it kind of works out. It's just kind of hard.
Right, right.
Also, just a quick one, I suppose, about DLC. Do you dislike video game DLC? Is that how this kind of started out?
I do, yeah. Um, I don't know.
Any or just like first or just like day one DLC? 'Cause I know day
It,
one ticks a lot of people off.
that's the thing. Yeah, I do. I definitely can't stand day one, but I think that's another gray area too. I think I think it's just kind of being exploited too much. Um, it can be done right certain times, and it is done right certain times, but I think largely it's really kind of gotten out of control. Uh, the levels that it's kind of exploited. It's something that 10, 15 years ago we probably would never have thought it would have gotten to a point like this.
Hmm. Oh, definitely. I feel some companies have exploited it a lot worse than others. Like Valve tends to offer all their updates for free, but not everyone can afford to do that. So when it's things like Final Fantasy 13 2, which well, I guess you'd buy Final Fantasy 13 2, which is a whole different moral question, offers like the true ending as purchasable DLC.
Hmm.
That is bollocks. That is a
Yeah,
terrible thing to do. And two, Fallout 3, freaking love Fallout 3, has autosaving, and if you go into the last room of the game and have only autosaved, it autosaves you locked in there. The only way to actually go back to the game and revisit the rest of the world is to buy some DLC.
right.
Otherwise you are trapped. Which is
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah. That's definitely the area that I kind of direct my angst towards. It's definitely I mean, like the Final Fantasy 13, like you mentioned, and I think Ashura's Wrath does that too. If you want the real ending, you have to buy it, kind of thing. So it's Capcom. They're kind of notorious for DLC shenanigans. So
I was big into Capcom when I was young because of the Breath of Fire series. I've not really played them so much these days. Fortunately, Breath of Fire was totally before DLC's time, so that's totally
it
fine.
was, yeah, it was.
So good. Let's see. Before just a random discussion about gaming goes on. Not that that would be a bad thing.
I don't think any readers of your blog would oppose to that.
No, true, true. Do you think Nitro's catching on?
I hope so. I
I
don't
don't know
know.
if it's caught on with the comments much, but
Yeah, I see the readers using it quite a bit. I don't know if that's just kind of to give me a chuckle or not, but I don't know. I like it. I'd like for it to catch on.
wouldn't that be weird if they were doing it ironically already before it's become a thing?
Yeah.
That's not how memes are meant to work.
Yeah.
Uh, and similarly, will we, as the comic in reference go, will we ever learn what strike ball is? It sounds so interesting, and
Um,
I want to know. I do want to see.
we will learn actually early on, like within the second page of the next chapter.
Oh
We'll
man,
see we'll see a strike ball match being played.
fantastic! The question will be redundant so soon. Well, I
Yeah.
say so soon. You're about to go on a hiatus. Now, I only joined in this chapter. I was one of the many
Hmm.
people who came over after Alex Wolfson was like, "Hey guys, this is an amazing comic," and then his
All right.
flood of people came over.
Yes, indeed. Shout out to Young Protectors too.
So good, and Artifice as well. His first comic, which is
Hmm.
magnificent. So it's self-contained. It works. It's really fast. It's fantastic. I backed it on Kickstarter.
Indeed.
Mhm. So I've not been in for previous chapters. Do you take a hiatus after each chapter to rebuild the buffer? Is that how it works?
That seems to be how it's worked out with the last chapter. I didn't really plan the hiatus to come at the end of the chapter last time. It just kind of fell uh, that way due to timing, and I guess it kind of worked out. It felt like a good place to kind of take a break and rebuild the buffer, and I guess that's kind of how it's falling this way um, for this chapter too. So I guess it kind of works out, and I suppose it'll become a thing that way.
I'm not averse to it. No, by all means, you have freelancing work to do. Take your time.
Okay.
See, speaking of which, actually, are there plans for anything buying time merchandise related to buy, or like an online shop, or a Patreon?
I've gotten a bunch of comments that I should check out Patreon, so I'll be looking at it over the hiatus and seeing if it's something that I can implement, like how easy it will be and if they're cool with the sort of content that Buying Time has. Um, as far as like a shop goes, I'd love to do that, but it would be like another thing to add to the pile of to-dos. So, um, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it if people would, want to buy shirts that they wear in the comic or something like that. I mean, that'd be pretty awesome. I would just
Ooh,
have to look up the best way to go about doing it and set aside the time to do it. So
they make some M308 Gunner merchandise.
yeah.
Make people show off the merch of this fan that doesn't exist, this band that doesn't exist.
hmm
Make it viral. Actually, speaking of which, when Vinny and Fridge talk about music and retro synth pop, what kind of music do you imagine that they're talking about? Is there a similar music that exists that you think of?
There is, yeah. I've been on a really huge um, new wave '80s music kick lately. Um, I don't know, I think the easiest way for people to check it out is just to go to YouTube and search up um, a channel called Maniac Synth, and this guy posts stuff like daily, and it's all kind of like new wave, retro '80s synth pop music, and that's really the type of music that I see Vinny and Fridge making. Um, so let me think of specific artists. I'm sure that a lot of people are familiar with an artist named Kavinsky. He worked on the soundtrack for Drive.
Ooh,
He's kind of like the big popular name in this type of music. There's another band called Perturbator, who I think worked on the soundtrack for Hotline Miami. I'm not entirely sure.
interesting if it is. Definitely.
Yeah. Who else? There's another one called Laserhawk. Uh,
Amazing name.
I know. That's the thing though. I love these names too, and like the styles that they work with, their visuals and stuff. I just love everything about it. So that's what I see Vinny and Fridge doing.
Sometimes you do get style and substance, like Steam Powered Giraffe. The name still boggles my mind.
That does sound pretty amazing.
Oh, you not heard of them?
I haven't, no.
Oh, I'll email you links later. They're amazing. They're a steampunk face painted trio. They're totally cool. They do a lot of it's actually some of it's cyberpunk, and their next album set in space. So I'm not sure. It might look your sweet.
Okay, yeah, I'm behind this already.
Fantastic. I'll do links later. Has there been any fan music being made for M308 Gunner? And if not, would you like to see some?
There hasn't been any fan music made, but I would love to see some. Um, I've considered just commissioning someone to do some. Um, I've got a couple readers that have commented that they want to hear the type of music that it is, and I'd love to be able to have a song like an M308 Gunner song too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, some
yeah,
artists
that'd
have
be great.
managed. Some artists have managed it before. I know that Hamlet Machine, who makes Starfighter, just asked people to make music, and then a whole album got put together of music inspired by Starfighter.
Oh wow,
Yeah, so it can happen. Just
yeah,
you
the power
might,
of asking, I guess.
yeah, you might not need to commission anyone. It'd be super cool.
hmm
Either way, I think we all would like to hear a bit of that, and it would be really cool to see an album cover. No idea what that would involve.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking of designing too. If this record deal that Vinny and Fridge are going after falls through, I'm thinking what would the album cover look like?
Vinny would probably be a bit too shy to get on the front himself.
Yeah, most likely.
Let's see. Speaking of the cyberpunk and media genres here, do you have any particular favorite cyberpunk films, music, or comics?
I do, yeah. Um, of course, I've got the obvious references that I've made in the comic, like Bubblegum Crisis, um, Battle Angel, Alita.
Jet Set
Uh,
Radio. There's a lot of Jet Set Radio.
oh yes, yeah. Jet Set Radio is probably my favorite video game of all time. I'm not necessarily sure that would fall into cyberpunk. I
Not
guess it's kind
sure.
of skirting the edge. It's very,
Kind of neon futuristic.
yeah, certainly. Um, I'm trying to think what else. Ghost in the Shell, of course. Akira.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, there's just way too many to list. I could go on forever.
All brilliant choices. I think in the review I said that it was kind of like the aesthetics of Ultraviolet. I don't know if you've seen that one.
The Mila Jovovich.
Yeah, I think it's
Yes,
Vilnius. Yeah, the film is terrible, but the
it
aesthetics,
is.
but the aesthetics are really nice and pretty.
Yeah, yeah. That's so strange because I think that was the director of Equilibrium, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
And it was just like, what is this movie I'm watching? I mean, I love Mila Jovovich,
Hmm.
like just a guilty pleasure, but I just love watching everything she's in. But that movie was just something else.
It was. It would be something I'd love to see Riff Tracks or Mystery Science Theater 3000 because
Yeah,
it's so visually interesting, but the plot is sci-fi vampires who don't really do vampire-y things.
yeah,
It's terrible. It's schlock, but
yeah, absolutely.
it's one you remember the visuals of definitely.
Yeah, you're right. The visuals were
Mhm.
phenomenal, but it was just like, what is this movie?
It's so hard to. I would need to take notes to try and piece together what the hell's going on. I
hmm
mean, as far as Miliovich goes, no, Fifth Element, she can be pretty damn good.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love her. I don't know. She's kind of an underdog. I think people don't give her enough credit.
Oh, true, but she gets to strut her stuff enough. I think does she do is it both Underworld and Resident Evil she does, or is it just one of them? I can't remember.
Just Resident Evil.
Resident Evil, that's the one.
Right.
If I recall correctly, both of those film franchises, and I'll make a note if I've got this wrong, but I think I'm remembering right that their husbands are writing or directing it and basically just having a great time watching their wives be kick-ass and awesome.
Right. Yeah, I don't know about the Underworld series, but that's certainly the case for the Resident Evil one.
Fair enough. If people have a fun ride with it, why not? Although Resident Evil is
Yeah.
another one where it's like, this, it's an interesting one, but the plot, a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, strange futuristic films. Often the aesthetics can trump the plot line itself. So, speaking of Medieval, which is a fantastic segue to talk about sex.
All right.